The walk back to Adobe Lane was different this time. There was no rain, and there was no need to hide in the shadows. When they got back to 304, Chrissy was waiting for them, wearing a detective's hat and holding a magnifying glass. "Agent Snow reporting. Did we win? Is the tomb still closed?" "Chrissy," Janet laughed, pulling her into a hug. "You can take off the hat. The tomb is open. Furley knows everything." "He does?" Chrissy's eyes went wide. "Are we going to prison? Do they have orange juice in prison?" "No prison," Jack said, wrapping an arm around Janet. "We're staying, all of us, and I don't have to be refined anymore." "Oh, thank goodness," Chrissy sighed, "because I really wanted to tell you that your silk pajamas are actually very itchy looking." They stood on the balcony, the three of them, looking out at the Pacific. The glass sculpture had finally shattered, but in its place, something stronger had been built. "You know," Janet whispered, leaning her head on Jack's shoulder, "we're still a crowd." "Yeah," Jack smiled, looking at Chrissy, who was currently trying to use the magnifying glass to look at a moth. "But we're the best crowd I know." Chapter 20. The First Real Date. The truth tax was a heavy burden, but the freedom that came with it was worth every extra cent. For the first time in 3 years, Jack didn't have to check the hallway for Furley before holding Janet's hand. "So," Jack said, leaning against the kitchen counter, "since we're officially out, how about an official date? No disguises, no fake accents, no Romanian protocols, just us." Janet smiled, setting down a vase of sunflowers. "I'd love that. Somewhere with a view, and preferably somewhere where Larry Dallas isn't the waiter." They went to a small Italian bistro tucked away in the hills. Without the frantic energy of a misunderstanding to drive them, they had to navigate the quiet intimacy of being a real couple. "You know," Janet said, swirling her wine, "I keep waiting for someone to jump out of a closet and demand an explanation." "I know the feeling," Jack laughed. "I almost told the waiter I was your sister just out of habit." The evening was perfect until they returned home. Furley was waiting on the stairs, wearing a robe that looked like it was made from recycled disco curtains. "Late, aren't we?" Furley asked, checking his watch. "The truth doesn't sleep, Tripper, and neither does the interest on the truth tax." "We just went to dinner, Mr. Furley," Janet said patiently. "Dinner? Right. Well, keep it quiet. I'm trying to practice my yoga. My brother Bart says, a balanced landlord is a happy landlord." As they reached the top of the stairs, Jack turned to Janet. "He's still a nightmare, isn't he?" "Our nightmare," Janet whispered, kissing his cheek. Chapter 21. The Culinary Crossroads. The financial pressure of the truth tax forced Jack to take on more shifts at the cooking school, which caught the attention of Chef DeWitt. "Tripper," DeWitt said, tasting a sauce, "you've developed a certain urgency lately. Your flavors are aggressive, quote, bold, like you're fighting for your life." "I'm fighting for my rent, chef," Jack admitted. "Well, it's working. I've been approached by a new high-end bistro in Malibu. They need a sous chef who can handle pressure. It pays double what you make here." Jack's heart soared. Double the pay meant no more truth tax worries. It meant a real future. But it also meant 14-hour days, 6 days a week. It meant seeing Janet and Chrissy only in the blurred moments of late night and early morning. He sat on the balcony that night, the Malibu offer weighing heavy in his pocket. Janet found him there, the scent of lavender from the flower shop still clinging to her clothes. "You're quiet," she said, sitting on the stool beside him. The "I have a secret" quiet. Jack sighed and told her about the offer. Janet listened, her expression unreadable in the moonlight. "It's a huge opportunity, Jack," she said slowly. "We could finally breathe. No more junk sales. No more worrying about every penny. But I'd never be here. January, I'd be a ghost in our own apartment." "You wouldn't be a ghost," Janet said, taking his hand. "You'd be the man building a life for us. We've survived FBI agents and Romanian dancers, Jack. We can survive a busy schedule." Chapter 22. High Stakes and High Rent. The Malibu Bistro was a whirlwind of copper pans and shouted orders. Jack flourished under the pressure, his talent finally finding a stage that demanded his best. But the cost was real. He missed the small moments, the way Chrissy tried to organize the spice rack by color, and the way Janet would leave a single flower on his pillow when he worked late. One Friday, the stress reached a breaking point. Chrissy had accidentally cleaned Jack's recipe book by putting it in the dishwasher, and the car had developed a noise that sounded like a bag of marbles in a blender. "I can't do it," Chrissy wailed, sitting on the floor amidst a pile of wet, pulpy paper. "I was trying to be helpful." Agent Snow was better at being helpful than roommate Chrissy. Janet was trying to fix the sink, her hair frizzy from the humidity. "It's okay, Chrissy. It's just, everything is breaking at once." Jack walked in, exhausted from a double shift, and saw the chaos. For a second, he wanted to turn around and walk back out, but then he saw Janet's face. She wasn't sensible or in control. She looked like she was about to cry. He didn't say anything. He just went to the cupboard, pulled out the flour, and started making a pie crust. "What are you doing?" Janet asked, wiping her forehead. "Making peace," Jack said, "with apples and cinnamon." An hour later, the apartment smelled like heaven. They sat around the table, eating warm pie, while the car made its marble noises outside, and the sink continued to drip. "We're still broke," Chrissy said, taking a bite. "And the book is ruined, but the pie is the best thing that ever happened to me." "It's not just the pie," Jack said, looking at Janet. "It's the company." Chapter 23. The Floral Fiasco. Success at the Malibu Bistro brought unexpected opportunities for Janet as well. The restaurant's owner, a man with more money than taste, was impressed by the centerpieces Janet had sent along with Jack one evening. Janet Wood. The owner boomed during the restaurant's grand opening gala. "I want your shop to handle every event we host. The Malibu Blue floral contract. It's yours if you want it." Janet was stunned. It was the break her shop needed to finally move from the corner lot to a real boutique on the promenade. But as the orders began to flood in, the quiet florist found herself drowning in lilies and logistics. "Jack, I have 3 weddings and the bistro's midnight brunch all on Saturday," Janet said, her hands stained green from stems. "I haven't slept in 36 hours, and I think I'm starting to hallucinate that the ferns are talking to me." "At least they aren't speaking Latin," Jack joked, trying to lighten the mood, but he saw the exhaustion in her eyes. He was working the line until 2 a.m., and she was starting her deliveries at 4 a.m. They were living in the same apartment, yet they were passing each other like ships in the night. The situation reached a breaking point when Chrissy decided to help by sorting a shipment of rare orchids. "I put them in the hallway where the light was better," Chrissy explained proudly, "and then I opened the window so they could get some fresh sea air." Janet stared at the $2,000 worth of tropical flowers, now wilted and brown from the unexpected Santa Monica cold snap. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just sat down on the floor and stared at the petals. "Janet, I'm so sorry," Chrissy whispered, her lip trembling. "I just wanted to be a good agent." Chapter 24. Stars, Stripes, and Soufflés. The Malibu grand opening was the pinnacle of Jack's career. The guest list was a who's who of Hollywood, and the pressure in the kitchen was enough to boil water without a stove. "Tripper, the soufflés for table 4. Now," Chef DeWitt screamed. Jack was in the zone, his movements a blur of precision. But then, he saw a familiar face in the crowd through the kitchen window. It was Ralph Furley, wearing a tuxedo that appeared to be made of crushed sapphire velvet, accompanied by a woman who looked like she'd been carved out of a very expensive piece of mahogany. "Tripper!" Furley shouted, waving his napkin from across the room. "Is that you back there? Come out and meet my date. She's a professional hand model." The kitchen went silent. Chef DeWitt turned toward Jack, his eyes bulging. "Tripper, who is that? Sapphire gargoyle, and why is he shouting your name?" "He's here, my landlord, chef," Jack stammered. "Here very enthusiastic about gastronomy." Furley, never one for boundaries, marched right into the kitchen. "Tripper boy, this hand model, she's very hungry. She says the vibration in this room is excellent for her cuticles. Where's the bread?" Chaos ensued. Furley accidentally knocked over a tray of sea bass. The hand model began to critique the lighting on the salad bar, and Chef DeWitt appeared to be having a nervous breakdown. "Get him out," DeWitt roared. "Get him out or you're fired." Jack looked at Furley, then at the half-finished soufflés, and then at the door where Janet was just arriving with the replacement flowers for the centerpieces. She looked exhausted, her emerald dress slightly rumpled, but she was there. In that moment, Jack realized he didn't care about the Malibu contract. He didn't care about the Hollywood guest list. He cared about the woman standing in the doorway and the ridiculous man in the sapphire suit who, despite everything, was the reason they were still together. "Chef," Jack said, untying his apron, "I'm going to take my landlord and my girlfriend home. We have a pie in the oven that's far more important than these soufflés."